The Harlan farm stretched across 100 acres of rolling Nebraska plains, cornstalks swaying under a sky that seemed to hold its breath. Amos Harlan, weathered by 60 summers, had worked the land his whole life, as had his father before him. His two sons, Caleb and Ezra, were cut from the same cloth, broad-shouldered, quiet, and bound to the earth. The farm was their world, a place of sweat and certainty. Until the laughter began. It started on a late September night, the air crisp with the promise of harvest. Amos was on the porch, nursing a coffee, when he heard it, a faint, bubbling giggle drifting from the fields. It wasn't the sound of one child, but many, overlapping in a chorus that felt both joyful and wrong, like music played on broken strings. He froze, cup halfway to his lips. No children lived nearby. The closest neighbor was 5 miles out. Caleb, Ezra, he called, stepping into the yard. His sons emerged from the barn, tools in hand, their faces shadowed under the brim of their caps. You hear that? They listened. The laughter came again, louder now, weaving through the corn like a breeze. Caleb, the elder at 25, frowned. Kids messing around? No one's out there, Ezra said, his voice low. At 19, he had a knack for sensing things, storms, sick livestock. He looked uneasy. Amos grabbed a flashlight and his shotgun. Let's go. The 3 men waded into the fields, the corn swallowing them whole. The laughter darted around them, now close, now distant, always just beyond reach. They found nothing, no footprints, no broken stalks, no trace of anyone. After an hour, the sound faded, leaving only the rustle of leaves and their own uneven breaths. Must have been the wind, Amos muttered, though he didn't believe it. They returned to the house, locking the doors tighter than usual. The next night, it came again. Louder. Closer. The laughter filled the fields, spilling into their dreams. Caleb woke swearing he'd heard it under his window. Ezra stopped sleeping altogether, his eyes hollow by the 3rd day. Amos tried to keep them focused on work. Harvest was coming, and the corn wouldn't wait. But every night, the giggles returned, sharper now, like knives scraping bone. On the 5th night, Ezra snapped. We gotta do something, Pa, he shouted, slamming his fist on the kitchen table. It's not right. It's in my head. Amos wanted to argue, to say it was just imagination, but he felt it too, a weight, like the laughter was digging into him, unearthing something he couldn't name. Caleb, always the steady one, suggested setting traps, maybe cameras. If it's kids, we'll catch them. They rigged motion sensors and old trail cams from Amos's hunting days, placing them deep in the fields. The next morning, they checked the footage. The cameras had triggered dozens of times, but the images showed only corn, swaying in the dark. No figures, no faces. Yet the audio was different. Every clip carried the laughter, clear as day, layered with whispers they hadn't noticed before, words like stay and ours, spoken in voices too small to be human. Ezra started praying, something he hadn't done since he was a boy. Caleb took to carrying a knife, his knuckles white around the handle. Amos drank more, staring at the fields each night, willing the sound to stop. It didn't. It grew. By the 10th night, the laughter wasn't just in the fields, it was in the walls, the floorboards, the air they breathed. The house felt alive with it, mocking them. Desperate, Amos called the sheriff. The man came, walked the fields, and found nothing. Could be coyotes, he said, scratching his head. Sound carries funny out here. Amos didn't bother arguing. Coyotes didn't laugh like that. On the 13th night, Caleb vanished. They found his boots at the edge of the field, neatly placed, as if he'd stepped out of them and kept walking. No tracks led anywhere. Ezra screamed his brother's name until his voice gave out. Amos felt something break inside him, a crack that let the laughter in deeper. We're leaving, Amos told Ezra the next morning. This place ain't ours no more. But Ezra shook his head, eyes wild. We can't. They won't let us. That night, the laughter was unbearable, a shrieking cacophony that shook the windows. Ezra grabbed a scythe from the barn and ran into the fields, yelling for Caleb. Amos chased him, shotgun in hand, heart pounding. The corn seemed to close around them, taller than it should have been, the stalks whispering back the giggles. They stumbled into a clearing that hadn't been there before. In the center stood a scarecrow, one Amos didn't recognize. Its face was burlap, crudely stitched, but its eyes, God, its eyes, were human, wide and wet, staring straight at them. Caleb's eyes. Ezra dropped the scythe, sobbing. Amos raised the shotgun, but before he could fire, the laughter surged, deafening, and the ground beneath them split open. Hands, small, cold, impossibly strong, clawed up from the earth, grabbing their ankles. Amos fired wildly, screaming, but the hands pulled harder, dragging them down. Ezra's cries cut off as the soil swallowed him. Amos fought, clawing at the dirt, but it was no use. The last thing he saw was the scarecrow's face, smiling now, its mouth moving with the laughter of children. Days later, the sheriff returned, puzzled by the Harlan's absence. The house was empty, the fields untouched. No sign of Amos, Caleb, or Ezra. The corn stood tall, ready for harvest, but no one came to claim it. Neighbors whispered about the farm, saying it felt wrong, like the air itself was watching. A year passed. A new family bought the land, drawn by the cheap price. They didn't stay long. At night, they heard laughter, children's laughter, bright and endless, coming from the fields. But that wasn't what drove them away. It was the voices. Not from the fields, but from inside them. Every night, as they lay in bed, they felt it, a chorus of giggles, bubbling up from their own chests, growing louder, until they couldn't tell where their thoughts ended and the laughter began. They fled, but it followed.